All right, hey everybody, this is Mark Dunois from the Kitchen Table, a licensed counselor, marriage and family therapist, and I just wanted to add to our last segment what I think is probably a core issue for all of us. I have been talking about the story we tell ourselves and how we want to be right versus happy, and unless you accept new information, then you're bound by the story. You're sort of like a slave to the story you've been telling yourself. I talked to you about how my wife and I had a situation where I felt like she didn't care about what I had to say. I was trying to express myself to her, and then I prayed about it, and God reminded me of times when I was a kid where I didn't feel listened to, didn't feel special or smart around academics and things like that. And so what that brings me to is we all want relationships to work. But what we're often unwilling to do is be vulnerable, which is the key to having a relationship at all. And so some of us actually fight to avoid vulnerability. There are lots of reasons why we fight. All of us are fighting to get a need met. But when you come down to it, and oftentimes in my sessions with my clients, I ask them, what do you really want? They often don't know, or they claim they don't know. I think deep down inside, they do know. I know, and I think you know too, that we are afraid of being hurt, that we've been hurt in the past, and we'd rather hurt you before you hurt me. And unless we get to a place where we're living in a constant state of forgiving ourselves, God, and others in our daily lives, we're going to avoid vulnerability, we're going to be lonely, and we're not going to have that true contentment that we all desire to have with each other, with ourselves, and with God. And so vulnerability to me is the key. And some people are afraid of being vulnerable because they think they're going to get hurt. Well, I have a few opinions about that. One is you can only be hurt if you believe you get hurt. If you're truly yourself and you accept yourself completely 100%, no matter what you've done in the past or what you might do in the future, if you begin to accept yourself as created by God, in the image of God, and that you're on your way to wholeness, that you are lovable and worth loving, that you deserve being loved, if you get to that space, if you make that your life goal to get to that space and be okay with being who you are, you will find that it's not as hard to be vulnerable with others because you've already accepted yourself completely. So when I accept myself completely, that means I don't need anything from you to complete me. Then vulnerability is just me being authentic, being my real self, inviting you to be your real self, and together then we can have closeness and intimacy and connection. But until you're willing to be okay with yourself, accept yourself the way you are, which brings you to being authentic with yourself and others, and until you can do that, we're going to be always rearranging the furniture on the Titanic. Okay, it's sinking. No matter what you do on the surface, it will continue to not work until you just step into your authentic self. That's what we call in our Growth Challenge program your B, your authentic self. Then you'll be happy and content in your relationships. So from our table to yours, hope you enjoyed that crumb.